We're live. Good evening. Welcome to the Bubba and
Johnny Warrior
show. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. We just came over from Dave's Quinton Baloo show, and it was a fantastic show tonight.
Glad he's back. Glad he's back.
Definitely. We missed him. Now we finally have some more quality entertainment here.
Well, we got more entertainment. Let's leave it there.
Okay.
We got to roast him just a little bit. All right, guys. So tonight we were going to have an earlier show, and we were going to have a co-host on. We don't have one for you this week. It fell through. We apologize drastically, but we're going to go ahead and run on with a lot of the regional information, some of the hot topics that we need to discuss specific for you guys, and keep putting out anything that you guys have as far as questions or injections or anything in the conversation in the chat, and we'll discuss that as well. Bubba, I have one small problem.
Okay.
I am having a hard time finding the link to view the chat. I can't seem to pull you up on. I can't seem to pull the show up so I can see the chat.
Okay. Maybe that'll help you.
That should help me. All right, guys. So and here, this one is let's use this kind of as, I don't know, maybe like a public service message or something for the expat community and everything else. And Eric, what is it? F you both. I mean, really?
Are we really that sexy to you, Eric?
Come on. Man, that hurts my feelings, Eric, that you would stop and you kiss your wife with that potty mouth. We know first of all, we know we're in the rainy seasons, but with this tropical typhoon, not typhoon, but the tropical storm that has hit the zone, the rain has increased exponentially across the region. All right. What is this? Like up in Luzon, northern Luzon region, there was some significant flooding. And, of course, this increases a lot of the issues that we commonly think of, like dengue fever. Zika is an issue now here, as well as some of these other, actually up in the northern region with that, there are small pockets of malaria that do still become active up in the Cagayan Valley region. So, these are all factors we need to be considerate of, as well as we need to be concerned about schistosomiasis now, right? Because what a lot of the rice paddies are doing is they're using a agent to do snail kill-offs so that the host, right, the parasite doesn't have a primary host to start a life cycle. So when you get fresh water coming into these rice fields like this and flooding and everything else and washes out the snailicide, you need to be cautiously aware that now you have a window of opportunity for the parasite to start to kick off a life cycle. Of course, as soon as they can, they'll get back in there and start applying the fertilizer and the snail kill and all this other stuff. But until then, you need to be cautiously aware of this kind of stuff. You are in the Philippines. You are in a tropical environment. You also need to worry about leptospirosis, other waterborne diseases. If you're in a flooded area and it floods into your well is contaminated. You've got to worry about salmonella, shigella, and all these other even typhus, waterborne typhoid. You need to worry about these because these are all diseases that are endemic in the region, and take those precautions. Is that understood?
Yes, and also, too, I would imagine dengue fever, because that's going to lead to an upsurge in mosquitoes, I would think.
Exactly. You're going to, it's stinging season as it is. So now you get a lot of this flooding. You're going to start it's going to start coming into the region. The H5N6, I'm a little concerned about because one of the ways they transmit this, or it can be transmitted, doesn't stay active long, but fecal contamination, like the flu, bodily fluids, can harbor the virus. So, chicken shit will have a lot. And then when you start flooding and it starts diluting and it starts washing out and it starts moving everywhere. So you kind of have to be cautiously aware of that too, and keep an eye on the news as far as what the Department of Health is talking about with the bird flu, and keep an eye on what's going on, because these type of situations, although cleansing as it is, right, great for air quality and it's great for topsoil and washout and everything like that, it also has a tendency to take a pile of poo and smear it all over the mirror. So we need to be cautiously aware of everything that is going on and coming out of the Department of Health. Okay. Other issues that we need that are out and about, let's talk about regional security and the joke that's going on. Everybody's aware that Korea just launched two successfully short-range missiles towards Japan. 2 of them splashed down at 125. I think it was 125 kilometers, Bubba?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or was it mile? 125 kilometers.
I believe
and
so, yeah.
The third one detonated on the platform, didn't even take launch. Now, there's a couple factors that we need to understand about this. First off, some of this new missile technology, the biggest breakthrough that they really have right now is that they're using solid fuel rockets. Okay. That's kind of a biggie. That's a big deal. Simply put, solid fuel rocketry is one of those concepts that, rocket engineers, rocket scientists, wow. Did you ever think that we were actually ever going to have a rocket science conversation?
No, we've gone from chicken shit to missile tech. How nice.
Yeah. Look at that quit on blue. They've even said, wow, epic. Only on this show, guys. It's a very, very intellectual show. Chicken shit. Now let's talk rockets.
Let's talk about kitty litter boxes.
Okay. Well, solid fuel rocketry is one of those concepts that, satellite rockets have strived for a long time to get the technology down to be able to launch a rocket on solid fuel, because it's safer, more stable, and you can control the burn rates better. Well, whatever they design, it ends up being so massive, and with the heavy payload, it's not comparable. So somehow, some way, North Korea has got some technologies where their short and middle range missiles are, and supposedly the new intercontinental ballistic missile are all on solid fuel technologies.
That's 5
So
syllables. You just used 5-syllable word, Johnny.
Did I?
Intercontinental.
Yeah, why is he complaining on me to use 3 or 4 when I used 5? So I got a pass today.
Yes, you did.
All right. So, here we are with higher missile technologies. And that was distracting. Hold on. What was I saying?
I don't.
Missile technologies.
Yes.
All right.
Soft
yeah.
fuel.
And rocket fuels. There you go. So, it's kind of a big deal. So now it's cheaper for them to start to manufacture. It's stable. It's more readily dependable. And, being cheaper, they can definitely make more now. So let's see how that's going. However, there is, and I don't know, the hem and hawing between China and the international community regarding sanctions against, the North Korea and, participating in, et cetera, has been one of those hot and cold things. And as of late, though, after this, apparently China's back on the bandwagon and pushing. They're actually going to start penalizing Chinese companies that are continuing or initiating. Well, actually, it's initiating new contracts with North Korea. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they're going to continue current contracts? Well, as vague as that is, I guess it would be, right?
I guess so. Trump said I guess they'll penalize them financially, and I guess as far as trade, they'll penalize them, those companies, try to make it to where they can't do business in the U.S. or something.
Well, that's on the back of the concepts that they were talking about with what China's going to do within its internal borders. So I don't know. I'm not thinking in any way. I think this is still politically one of those ham and haw things, sleight of hand, whatever.
And the one troll who gave us a thumbs down can implement the orbicular muscle to my glutamus maximus.
Wow. So, wow. Damn, dude. That just totally broke my line of thought. Now we got 2 thumbs down. Look at that. Okay, can somebody give us a 3rd and 4th so we can actually make it even? Oh, no, we got a 5 thumbs up. So, yeah, actually, look at what Noel's saying. The young Jung-Un is sulking and rating the ref again. His ref again. Well, and here's the thing is he's getting – this is what's killing me. The rhetoric had just died down. All the saber rattling, and it was almost like everybody was just at a standstill. The U.S. is not going to break a training cycle with South Korea. It's not. It's just not going to happen. And it hasn't in the past. It's suspended or postponed them before, but not, especially now. It's not going to happen. So what do? They do this, they kick off the new, and all it was is actually a tech. It wasn't, field maneuvers or whatever. It's, it's back support systems, air defense, stuff like that. It wasn't really anything, that huge. So it was in retaliation to that, and whatever their freaking plan is on this. Well, I don't know what their end game is, or if there is an end game. I think it's just a matter of preservation. And he's thinking that this rhetoric is going to continue in today's geopolitical system, or climate, and he's going to be successful in getting the same old, and getting some sanctions lifted, because that's really what it is. It's a pout. It's a throwing a fit.
Yeah, he's probably polishing off a humongous block of cheese because he loves cheese, according to his retired chef.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side of this, all this unstable aspect of this, right? The destabilization regionally. What was it? Just like 5 days ago, it was cooling down enough to where even currencies were starting to stabilize a little bit. Things were starting to shift back into and this is why sometimes I'm wondering how in-depth the plan is. All right. Okay, guys, this is the Illuminati Conspiracy Network. So let's talk about it. How in-depth do the fingers reach into the global spectrum of the global plan? Because if you note, right? There's a lot of indicators that, and the dollar's been sliding, you know, pretty significant over the last month, pretty hard. The last week and a half, you know, even more so exponentially. Then there was this big, huge push on crypto tech or crypto currencies about 2 months ago. That's been solid for the last 2 months. That's Bitcoin and all that. And I'm wondering if they're doing the sleight of hand to pull in cryptocurrency as the global currency and then yank the dollar out from underneath everybody's feet. And now they got a net to cushion the fall for everybody when basically a controlled collapse of the global economy, so it doesn't belly out, you know, but there's going to have to be like a debt reset and everything else.
Oh, there's going to have to be. I mean, here's the thing: you can't build an economic system on debt, and that's what we have in the world. It's all based upon debt. And it's
okay. Well, this isn't a new concept. This isn't something that was new. Before paper currency even came in, right? They had to establish like a line, and they were using tally rods for indicating debt. All right. Those tally rods were what were holding or weighing debt, and then they went over to paper debt, or like the pre-form of currency. It was basically an IOU kind of thing, right? And oh, that reminds me of something. I wanted to say this earlier. Since we're talking about currency, there's another show that comes about this time every night. And I believe it was last night. They were actually talking about currencies, or maybe it was the night before. They were talking about currencies. And their discussion was that, you know, currency is all about the gold. All currency is backed by gold.
No, it's not.
I know. It hasn't been backed by I mean, for quite a significant period of time. And it's all an equation. It's an economic equation. And yeah, it's Sir Liner knows right there. Yes, yes, Jerry Gamboni. Currency did used to, you know, like the U.S. dollar used to say backed by, you know, silver or backed by gold. You know, that was a percentage of your share that you owned of the Federal Reserve of gold is what the American dollar was. They took that away a long time ago, and yes, the gold standard is currency, Robert. But the thing is there's been an influx of globalized gold purchases from China, Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, Germany. You know, a lot of these countries have started beefing up their gold bullion. Now, here is one of the reasons why I'm not actually an advocate of the dollar or any currency being solely based on gold. I think there needs to be, in today's day and age, the way we can't go back to where it was, because there's no way you can convince me that, okay, there's X amount of gold available globally. All right. So you're telling me somehow by some freak accident or some weird something occurs and Uganda ends up with, you know, a good, let's say, a quarter of the gold reserve globally, hypothetically. So the U.S., who is a powerhouse in manufacturing, a powerhouse in military might, a powerhouse in technology, who may only have a 16th of the gold reserve. So you're telling me that the economy of Uganda is going to outweigh the economy of the United States? And that's what it would be like in a gold standard. The GDP, the GNP, exports, imports, consumption, all these other factors need to be placed in the equation, right, as far as how an economy rolls. The problem is not the equation. The problem is debt. Debt has been the enemy of the dollar, of the global monetary situation, global markets, global currencies for quite some time, you know, significantly over the last maybe 15 years.
Yeah, that's the thing too. The Federal Reserve is a joke. There's nothing federal about it, and there's no reserve whatsoever. It's basically just a name made up by the banking cartel, the banksters.
Well, the feds, the federal bank is constantly manipulated by the IMF, and you know, the central bank owns it all, or the banking system. You know, what, 4 or 5 families own.
The IMF,
you know?
the World Monetary Fund, or whatever, and the Federal Reserve are pretty much, it's all the same owners. It's all one.
Well, they're supposedly defined differently, but yeah, because like if the feds come up and they say, oh, we're going to go ahead and it's in the best interest of the U.S. dollar to increase interest rates, we're going to bump it up by, you know, 0.25% or whatever stupid act they do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then you turn around and then you have the IMF going, oh, hell no, we can't do that over here in Europe. You know, in the euro can't do that. So they start to browbeat and force the feds and pacify the feds so they don't bump up the interest rate. So the situation is, you know, kind of manipulated on all avenues. And it's, you know, we can sit here and blame the dollar, the U.S. dollar, and it's easy to do it being the trade currency and the petrodollar. But the reality is, you know, it's across the board. All currencies and all central banking systems are all in this together. So it's not just the dollar. It's not the euro. It's not, you know, it's all the same crap, you know.
Well, here's the thing, too. Now, have they taken Andrew Jackson off the $20 bill yet? I heard there was talk of doing that and replaced him with Harriet Tubman. Well, yeah, we're going to go there because you know why? It makes sense. They hated Andrew Jackson. The last time the United States had no debt whatsoever was when Andrew Jackson was president. And the reason why is because he refused to renew the charter of the Bank of the United States. He told the central bankers to go pound sand. And so it makes perfect sense. I mean, yeah, the Trail of Tears was horrible. But outside of that, Andrew Jackson was a great president. He really was. He was a tough man, too. Any man who survived over 200 duels in his lifetime and sounded like a bag of marbles when he walked because he had so many bullets in him is worthy of respect and admiration in my book. But that's just me. So, but anyway.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So
I just had to throw that in because it makes sense.
Well, okay. And here's something that I want to kind of like pose as a challenge to everybody out there. Those of you that are in the Philippines specifically, you know, here soon you're going to see another move on the Philippine peso. You know, basically a drop in the peso, which is going to give it, you know, somewhere between, I think by the end of the year, not me, I don't think, but so there's people that are a lot smarter economically predicting that the peso could end up settling around late November, early December in the 54 to 56 peso per dollar. And then there is going to be a push to stabilize at the beginning of the year of 2018, in which the peso will settle back down around that mid 45, 46 pesos to the dollar, which is the healthy ratio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that'll probably be a combination of economic policy as well as a further decline in U.S. currency, just the way it is. So I would challenge everybody to save up some U.S. currency and do a mass exchange at the end of the year so you can benefit the most bang for your buck. Because if the currency is going to stabilize and push back down, that's going to put inflation in check. So it's a golden opportunity to sit there and make a bunch of, put a little bit extra in the bank, using the peso and on a change out against the dollar.
It's still 51 pesos to the dollar, though. So that's good.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is by the end of the year, it could be 54 to 56 pesos to the dollar. And if you got a couple thousand that you're going to swap out, you're actually getting more leverage.
On that note, I think I told you I had 300 pesos worth of Bitcoin back in like October. When I checked it last week, it was over 2,000.
See?
And I'm thinking, damn, I wish I'd have had 10 or 20,000 pesos worth.
Yeah.
Hey,
you're actually gonna see cryptocurrency you're gonna see even more exponential earnings in cryptocurrency, because that's how they're gonna bait people into getting into it. I mean, to tell you the truth, I'm gonna put it in part of my portfolio here as soon as I can. I'm gonna open up. Well, you help me. I got a wallet. I'm gonna go in there as soon as I got a little extra cash to start buying some Bitcoin share and put it into the wallet and let it grow, because I'm not gonna let it just pass by the opportunity. Am I contributing to the birth of a global currency? Probably. What other option is there?
Yeah, it always goes up to in November. Don't know why, but for some reason Bitcoin always climbs in November.
Well, a lot of currencies do. For some reason about that time frame, the currencies climb.
I guess because of Christmas? I don't know.
It makes sense because against the spending power of that whatever currency, and it's usually in countries that have high consumption. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the U.S. consumes a lot. Japan consumes a lot. So you'll see large swings in currency rates at that time.
Yeah. Mr. Tux makes a good point too. December's when nobody sell their dollars for Christmas. So oh boy. Okay.
They're just raking you on the coals, bro. All right.
I don't care. I love you all anyway.
I don't know. I don't even want to know, dude. Here is, I've been avoiding this conversation I don't like it when we talk about the State of the Union stuff back in the States. I don't, because sometimes it's not really relevant to our lifestyle here. But we're at a little bit of a juncture where the ridiculous has become the asinine. And, first of all, this crap going on in Charlotte and the Antifa and the extreme right, the racists, all these, I mean, Bubba,
but here's
what I mean?
The leftists are just as hateful as the white supremacist. And plus, too, here's the thing. The so-called anti-fascists, which are actually fascist, they are actually contributing to the rise of white supremacy, because they call anybody who's not even, anybody who just voted for Trump, could have been a liberal Republican or whatever, but anybody who voted for Trump, they're calling him a white supremacist. So really, it's almost if the line is as if the line is becoming blurred, and they're actually contributing to the ranks of white supremacists growing, because people are just sick of it. I'm not saying,
okay, but
I'm not justifying somebody becoming a white supremacist by any means, because any racial supremacy is wrong.
Well, here you've got a couple issues. Actually, Jason and I had a conversation on a show not too long ago.
Want him to come on? Want him to come on?
Yeah. Let him come on if he wants to.
Okay. All right, Jason. I'm gonna throw a link out there for you, brother. If you want to come on, you are more than welcome to come on. So,
as he searches that link and everything, and before we go into that section, let's just pull that part out and we'll wait for Jason to come on. But there's a ingredient, a mass amount of ingredients being added to a cesspool of tar debris occurring, and honestly, this Hurricane Henry opened the door for some of it, because FEMA now put out their projection plans, and they're going to be in Texas for, I think they got like a 5 or 6 year long-term plan in being in Texas and support, quote unquote, support, witch's claw, right? For the flooding that's happening from Houston all down the coastline. Now, this is significant. I'm not belittling or demeaning or deminimalizing the magnitude of the damage that the hurricane has produced. What I'm saying is it has now opened the door for the feds to maintain control of a lot of avenues that it has not had in the past relative to the way Texas does its regulations, handles its money, and remember, Texas is on a separate grid. All right, they're not tied to the national grid. And these have always been kind of like sore issues to the government. Yeah.
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Not much, man. Not much.
There was now we have this additional factor related into Texas, and they have the power to actually circumvent through some of the classifications of emergency management to change some of this stuff. So that you're just, it seems like the only thing that's occurring now as of late is, more basil, more oregano, more dried turd, and everything else being thrown into the stew that's making this big, huge mess that is, is that a dog?
Yeah, that's my
Jason,
dog.
were you?
That's my dog.
Or were you just whining to shut me up so you could talk?
Yeah, that's my dog. That's my dog.
The dog was whining about when he heard the turd soup.
Yeah. Well, okay, and here, and you got to correct me, Jason, because my memory, I could have maybe dreamed this. You know that? I think we had a conversation, and I don't know where it was, regarding the rise of, who was actually to blame for the rise of the, the civil rights movement in the 60s, who was to blame on the rise of segregation, defense, all that other stuff. And didn't it start out with a talk on the Civil War? What was that?
I know what you're talking about. Was that?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
No. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember where exactly what it was.
Yeah. Okay. So here, let me give you a background on what the discussion was. What we did is we were talking about the revisionism and how it has more or less poisoned, actually Robert was involved with that, I believe, wasn't he? And so was Dave.
Yeah, that was the show. Yeah, that was the show. What show was that? It was just the other day.
Was that Eric's show?
I believe so. It was just the other day. What is that noise?
Dude, what are you doing?
Who?
You.
I'm not doing nothing. I'm laying here and staring at my laptop, listening to you guys jabber.
Okay, but there's something up with your mic.
Yeah, could you get the mic out of your mouth?
If it's not in your mouth, I don't know. I don't really want to know where it is.
It's not up my ass, I'll tell you that.
All right. Okay. So here we are, where we were talking about how revisionism had progressed into public schools to change the ideals, and they really were targeting the Civil War, right? The concepts and the ideology, which is a great place to start if you're going to try to change the ideology of an entire nation. And what they were doing was convincing everybody that the Civil War was, or they have successfully convinced most people that the Civil War was started on slavery, the concept of abolishing slavery.
That was the last show. That was that? Yeah, that was Bubba's show.
Mine or Dave?
Okay, I don't know. All right, yeah. but do you remember we kind of progressed through that, and then we started hitting a little bit about, you know, the 50s and the 60s and the civil rights movement, and how they were really pushing segregation in some sections, and there was a lot of division. You know, everybody is assuming, there's a huge amount of assumption that is was based on rhinos, or, you know, Republicans, or, you know, conservative sections of the Republican Party, when the reality is it was Southern Democrats. Southern Democrats were the ones that were perpetuating segregation.
And see that turned around the 80s, I believe. Late 70s, early 80s.
I would say more late 70s, early 80s, because a lot of Democrats voted for Reagan.
Yeah, and that changed around, and that goes back to a thing I said. I don't know when I said it, but I always say it. But every 4 years, people have amnesia, and that's a lot of things that people don't want to go back and see what happened, and what like history-wise, they don't want to see what went on, and they just want to go, oh yeah, somebody so and so said that, and they just go on with it, even though that's not the truth. And they could go back and see exactly what was said and what went on, but they don't.
Mm-hmm. You know, but now, you know, moving forward a little bit. Okay, well, we know that there had to have been a movement in the Democratic Party, right, post Reagan. All right, because the Democratic Party was not near as polarized as it was during the Reagan period of time when Bush Jr. was in office. All right, when W was in office, you know, the polarized view of the Democratic Party was they seemed like one cohesive entity. When, you know, there was a majority. There was, you know, a significant part of the Democratic Party during the Reagan era that would vote along those conservative lines in order to get the proper thing done, you know. And it wasn't just reaching it across the aisle. It was a matter of ideology. There was a commonality in the ideology. That ideology in the Democratic Party was turned over to the liberals, you know, and the liberal movement within the party. It is. Now, the Democratic Party does not represent a true snapshot of what the National Democratic Party is. It doesn't. In the political realm, they are liberal. There's not even that many centrists. You know what I mean?
They've lost that.
Go ahead.
They've lost their true identity of what it originally started as.
Yeah. Well, so as Republicans.
Right.
Because they're trying to toe this centralist line, and see, now they're dipping into these waters where they are getting wrapped up in this revisionism and allowing these labels to be slapped on them, and they're not pushing back. You know, they're almost apologetic as far as when it comes to, you know, segregation and all this. What the hell did the party have to do with it? Nothing. You know, am I saying there wasn't racists in the Republican Party? That by no means am I saying that. What I'm saying is there was a predominant movement in the Democratic Party back in the late 50s, early 60s to maintain segregation and keep the civil rights movement at bay. Period. Fact. It's there. Read it. Study it. Blam. You know? And now we fast forward into today, and we got Antifa. We've got, you know, Black Lives Matter. We've got, and I'm not even going to put it into a Democratic versus Republican, because you got to put into the alt-right, right?
I was about to say that. Don't forget the alt-right.
Yeah, well, you got and the supremacists. Mm-hmm. Okay, all of them,
which are almost one and the same. If you really want to.
No, because there's fringe elements of the alt-right that are really on the Tea Party line, and I'm not going to sit there and label anybody a racist.
Let me say this: they're bleeding into each other, and that's the same thing. That's the same thing. That's the same thing with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They're bleeding into each other.
Basically, it's becoming the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Well, not just that, but they're kind of commingling with each other, not just because of the whole my enemy of your enemy, my enemy of, and that doing it that way. It's that there are people that are standing on the fence on both ends of it. Like you got the alt-right that are also supremacists. They're not just staying with one group. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You there, John?
I'm reading. Yeah, I am, but I'm reading something, Noel.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, that wouldn't. There's a tie, but I don't know if that's there's definitely a tie there. All right. Yeah. Well, the Antifa Soros tie is so blatant, and I don't know where the Muslim brother. I know there's a tie somewhere with the Muslim Brotherhood and Soros, and I don't know if the BLM, that whole thing is just a freaking cluster of the psychosis of the freaking federal government of the United States. I don't know that Soros even has that much legitimate power to manipulate an agency like that. But I will tell you,
they could be getting their funding too from Antifa, just funneling it through them.
The BLM?
Yeah,
it's a government agency. Are we talking about the same thing? The BLM that's been in the news because they went after the ranchers out in Nevada? That whole thing started coming up again.
No.
Oh, no. He's talking about Black Lives Matter. Okay.
Yes, not the Bureau of Land Management.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, no, you pinned it. Yes. No. Black Lives Matter has direct links of funding from the Muslim Brotherhood. That's proven. He's right. That one he has. I don't know about Antifa because Antifa is so new and so discombobulated that they don't even really have a singular ideology. They just want to be they're just a bunch of anarchists. So I don't know how they would get any kind of I think they just get direction from Soros. I don't think they really get any funding or anything.
$25 an hour to act like an idiot.
Anything, all these fringe, all these extremist groups, because that's what they are. They're terrorist extremist groups, and that's on everything. The people that are, I deem them the normal people, myself included, just the normal, we need to wipe these things out. We just not need to stand for these things.
No, and you're 100% right. I mean, there's you
have the freedom of free think and free speech and all that, but there has to be some guidelines there. You just can't go this.
Well, hold on a minute. Your right to free speech does not impede my right to self-defense and self-preservation.
Yeah.
So when you start to infringe on my rights, just to generally lead a secure life, that's when your right freedom of speech and freedom of self-expression ends. And the way these guys are acting and initiating, I mean, they're even, if you're a journalist and you're videoing, you're going to get popped in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that is, and you're right, Bubba, they are not anti-fascist. They're fascist to the extreme.
Oh yeah, they're Marxist.
You know,
but Marxists and fascists are the same thing.
I mean, it's beyond that, dude. They are anarchists. You know, they don't want anything. They just want us all to freaking live in chaos. You know, and this dude. I mean, I sit there and I watch some of the Antifa propaganda stuff that they put out, and I have to figure. I dig and dig and dig, because when I first started watching some of it, because you know you got to learn your enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really honestly thought the whole thing was a joke. I thought this was all some type of false news, or you know, some kind of what is it, parody? You know, the ones that I was watching, I thought they were parodies. Right now, there's a couple of them out there that are, but there was, I mean, this whole. You know, there was a guy and a girl that were getting together and kind of breaking down how to build a cell, you know, how to convey the ideology, how to convey disruption. You know, they were promoting learning self-defense, you know, in any form, you know, carrying a weapon in the form of a wood or a stick. But they were also getting into details such as, you know, men should actually dress as a woman for a period of time in public in order to feel and feel compassion to the femininity or the feminist movements. Right?
Hold on, are you serious? Hold on, what is this?
Yeah. Yes, dude, you can look it up. I sat there and I thought this was a parody. You know, they're talking about like firearms instruction, men that are involved in the Antifa movement. You know, if you can, you need to have a female lead your cell. But if you can't, the men need to take, you know, a more compassionate approach to the women's feminist movement. They should even maybe, you know, publicly dress as a female so they understand what it feels like to be a female. You know, and here's this guy standing next to her in a dress with fake breasts and makeup on and stuff like that. And I'm like going, okay, so these are the kids that are going to lead our country at some point.
I'm glad I won't be there for it.
I'm perplexed on that. Like, I don't know what to fucking think on that. I'm baffled. I'm completely baffled right now.
Dude, it took me 3 weeks to process it. I'm still in the processing mode. I still don't understand why these people think that anything that they're doing is actually a just cause. I mean, everything that they're moving against is moving directly in violation of what the core of the Constitution is.
Well, here's the thing, dude. They don't teach the Constitution in school. From the age of what, 5 or 6 or whenever kids start school, they're indoctrinated to think a certain way.
A lot of things need to be rehauled in our U.S. society, and that because U.S. society is a standard of the Western, I should say.
Well, I don't think we need a revamp. What we need is we need to get back to our roots of what made us a great nation. Honestly.
But we won't, because that's considered racist.
It's actually, as ridiculous as that sounds, is kind of a valid point. But I mean, I can't even comment on that. Damn, Bubba.
This is one thing. This is one thing.
I'm sorry, Jason.
One thing I was going to say real quick is that a man can never feel as a woman.
Thank God for that.
You can't feel for anything that you are not.
Exactly.
And you are not a male. I mean, a female. Or like, just like any one of you, you don't know what it is to be a black man in any society.
Right.
And the same thing for me. I don't know what it is to be a full white guy, even though I'm half. But you see what I'm saying? You can't. There's no way you can do that. And it's nuts for somebody to say, "Oh, I identify as that." These identity things need to just they need to go sit in a corner and really ponder life.
Actually, I don't think they need to sit in the corner. I think they need to be shot.
Well, if you look, Noel just said, he brings this point out, and this is part of the discussion in the past, and it's easy to say that the moderate voice needs to get louder, but what you're trailing into is the discussion that we had over on Dave's, the alpha beta personality, and the fact that the feminist movement has demasculinized and made it so politically incorrect to speak out against what is perceived as the popular voice, that it's drowning out. I mean, men don't know how to be men anymore, and it's bad to be a man. You know, gender neutrality, feminist movements, all this crap has beat the male
binary sex and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And the roots of that shit actually started in the 80s with the androgynous bullshit.
You can feel empathy, yes, but you cannot by dressing something. You can't. There's no way you can feel that way. There's no way you can feel as a woman feels. You can think about it. You can say, oh, you know, I can see how you're going, what you're going through by what you're going through. You can make those what's the word I'm looking for? Those parallels of life situations, but you can't feel what they feel.
Well, you know, can you imagine? I mean, it's beyond just jacked up there. All right. But can you imagine being here in the Philippines, if I was a beta, right, and just so pussified or whatever, and it happens here, dude. You can see it in relationships where the male's not very strong. Okay, what happens? The woman just just runs roughshod over the relationship.
Well,
I know with like mine. If I came home one day and I just became an instant puss, she'd bitch slap me and tell me to get my freaking big boy pants on and, you know, man up. You know, that's not what she wants. That's not what most women over here want.
Well, here's the thing, problem too. It all the educational system, and plus, if you watch any average sitcom or American television show, the man's a bumbling idiot, always trying to sneak around and do something, and screws everything up, and the woman comes and saves the day.
Well, it's just not. I mean, it goes beyond that. But I mean, yes, we have those mind brainwashing shows that happen. But what happened was a breakdown of the family nucleus and the family structure. And once they broke that down with many different constructs and things that we have in society, i.e., the prison systems, the laws, and not only that, but the family courts also. When you break those down, when you break that man, when you break when you take the man out of the situation, then this family can be molded into whatever they want. And that's what's happened in society. And there's silence.
No, I mean, I'm contemplating what you're saying. And to a degree, you know, yes, the decay of the family model in America is probably the centristic point of all the issues that we see today, period. All right? I mean, behavioral health, socially, you know, I mean, everything from relationships to the way we conduct ourselves to, you know, it's probably the single biggest issue related to the massive. Wow, man! The more and more I'm thinking about it, and I'm trying to wrap my head around this, it's like the problem. It's like, is there any way? Have we come to the point where it's no longer possible to retract from it? You know, are we now a new form of what America is?
Yeah, I mean, there's pockets, and it's crazy because it's so vilified, and it's so wrong to be masculine, like you were saying earlier, and it's wrong to be a man, and it's wrong to be a woman, and it's like, why is it so bad to be what you are? And it's not even about a label, you know. Genetics are genetics. We are what we are.
A lot of this crap too, you could actually trace the erosion of blue collar wages in the feminist movement back to the same time period. Because, okay, in the 60s, if you were a bricklayer or a carpenter, you made a really good wage, and the woman didn't have to work. She could stay.
Well, hold on. Here, there's another misconception. Not saying that you're saying it, but it just got my mind thinking. Another misconception is the wage gap. There's no fucking such thing, and I'm sorry to cuss, but
that's okay. There's
no such thing as a wage gap. There's none.
And here's why. There's more women with college degrees, but women usually get their college degrees in liberal arts, social work. I mean,
it's not even just that. But if you take two people, let's just say two doctors, okay? Two doctors, general doctors, doesn't have to be any specialized, whatever. But you take two doctors, male and female, and there's no way in hell that they're going to be making less money. The only way that they're going to be making less money that creates the wage gap is that the female gets pregnant. Not saying that it's wrong for the male that he can't get pregnant. I mean, it's biologically impossible for one, but the female gets pregnant and she takes more time off to be a mother and to pay attention to family than actual work. And that's what creates the gap. And that's what they spew when they say, oh, there's an age gap, because there's different life choices. There's different life choices that happen. And when those life choices happen, it's going to put that wage gap different because they're working less. And then that creates that wage gap. That's the only way that there is a wage gap. That's the only way. But if you take two people that have no kids, no nothing, and all their only idea is work, there's going to be no wage gap at all.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that if I could actually lick my own balls, all this stuff would, I mean, if all males could lick their own balls, there would be no feminist movement. There would be nothing, dude. We would like literally sit in a corner and live in cardboard boxes and alleyways and lick our balls all day long. I mean, I know that's what I would be doing. I would be licking my balls all day long. I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't have an urge to go to war or anything like that. I'd just lick my balls.
Well, and here's another thing. If men had boobs, I mean, some men do have boobs, but if men had like actual boobs, I mean, you would never see them. If those things were like, you would never see a guy.
Well, dude, to tell you the God honest truth, if I could lick my own balls, I'd go work at Kentucky Fried Chicken for enough money to get fake boobs, and then I'd just disappear in the desert.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Yes. Come back once every 3 years for maintenance, and that's it.
Or you can just go back, go into the military and say that you're transitioning, and they'll pay for it.
Damn it! But I can't lick my own balls. Do you think they could put a hinge in my like where my fusion is? Maybe put like a hinge there. That would help. Yeah.
Well, from here on out, I'm identifying as a lesbian. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about that, wrap your mind about that. The breakdown of and everything that we're going through right now it stems from the breakdown of the family nucleus, man.
No, you're right, man. All right, guys, we're at that 1 hour point, and we have made a commitment that we're not going to do long, huge marathon shows. Our shows stay at an hour.
Yeah.
So everybody,
we're not going to do 3 or 4 a day either.
Yeah.
We're going to use more than 4-syllable words at times.
But we need to continue this conversation later in the week, I do believe.
Oh yeah, definitely. And for everybody that does watch, I haven't fucking went anywhere. I haven't disappeared. It's a thing called life, and buying a house with land and planning a move and all this other stuff. When people, oh, he disappeared. I didn't disappear.
He's been around.
I'm still here. I've been around. I just do stuff. I just actually do things. I'm just not doing marathon. You
don't like
shows.
doing 3 or 4 hour live cast?
No.
Oh, come on.
No, not at all.
Full of unintelligible sentences and idiocy.
No.
Okay. Hey, thanks for coming on, Jason.
No problem. Anytime, man. Anytime. You guys know where I'm at.
Thanks for listening.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Jason. We really appreciate it. Hey, guys, I need you guys to remember the way we do our programming. You know, we do like regional lifestyles and stuff like that. We just got kind of more political today because we didn't have anybody coming in on the lifestyle slots. Conspiracies are on Friday at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Conspiracy Fridays.
But that, I mean, you can, Mr. Tux, you can say that the family nucleus is kind of a conspiracy. I mean, you can play it as a conspiracy.
Yes,
because who's to say? Who's to say that is true?
Well, we touched a little bit of it in the currency rates and stuff like that, but we got some good stuff that we're gonna come up on Friday with the conspiracies and stuff like that. What we're trying to do is a variety of show and give everybody, you know, an hour of entertainment in this kind of format where we can start building a base to be able to assimilate and brainwash people to where we can have our own minions and take over the world and exploit the populations, native and indigenous people, rape, pillage, and become emperors ourselves.
There you go.
Is that
now somebody's going to break apart what you just said and
analyze it? Yeah. Tell me,
okay.
Yeah, I know.
They can lick our balls.
I told you I want to lick my own balls.
They can just pay for the boob job. I mean.
Oh yeah, there you
go. So, but yes, we will do Conspiracy Theory Friday at 10 a.m. We will have a show this week.
I got some good conspiracies. Anytime you guys want to, I got some good ones there.
Yeah, we'll chat. We'll because I don't know. Do we have one for this week? Bubba?
Not offhand.
What about?
Okay, we'll
talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll announce it because I think we're gonna have another show later in the week. So, all right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and thanks for making us a part of your day. And may the sun be shining wherever you may be. Do you have anything to add, Johnny?
No, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate you guys supporting this. Thank you very much.
Succulent supple nipples.
May the sun be shining wherever
Succulent supple nipples. Hell yeah.
God.
Spoon.